For decades, Johnny Depp was one of the highest paid and most sought-after stars in Tinseltown. That is until his ex-wife, Amber Heard, penned a scathing December 2018 op-ed for the Washington Post accusing him of sexual violence and abuse. Johnny successfully sued Heard in a 2022 trial in Virginia in which a 7-member jury ruled that Heard's allegations were false and constituted as defamation under U.S. law. Once a beloved Hollywood icon, however, Depp's name was effectively run through the mud. Sure, he ended up coming out of that Virginia courtroom victorious, but it's pretty evident his career will never fully recover. Join us as we take a look back at Johnny Depp's many controversies while presenting the case for why we think his acting career is pretty much over. Facts First presents Johnny Depp's career is officially dead after the latest news. Depp's rocky arrest record. In 1989, Johnny Depp was arrested in Vancouver for assaulting a security guard after the cops were called in to put the kibosh on a loud party at his hotel room. But that's not the last time Johnny would end up getting into legal trouble over a hotel stay. In the 1990s, actress Kate Moss met Depp at an LA bar. The two rising stars were reportedly introduced by Vanity Fair journalist George Wayne. Apparently, it was love or perhaps lust at first sight, and the two immediately started dating. Months later, they announced their engagement at a charity gala. Right around this time, however, the nature of their relationship began to be dissected and speculated about in the media. In her book Champagne Supernova, journalist Maureen Callahan noted how both Kate and Johnny's lives seemed to be constantly filled with parties, booze, cigarettes, sex, and copious quantities of illicit drugs. One of the most controversial moments of their relationship revolved around a stay at the New York hotel The Mark in September 1994, in which Depp and Moss destroyed their room. Roger Daltrey, a member of the rock band The Who, was actually the one who called the cops on the out-of-control lovers. After police arrived, a photograph of Depp being arrested while wearing glasses and a wool hat made all the rounds in the major newspapers and gossip rags. Not long after, rumors surfaced that alleged Depp had assaulted Moss. Depp vehemently denied these accusations, but the explanations he gave for what actually happened at the Mark were nothing short of outlandish. At one point, he claimed the incident was the fault of a rogue armadillo, and on a separate occasion, he claimed the hotel room got wrecked when he was chasing a giant cockroach. Regardless, Depp ended up covering the hotel's damages. 5 years after the incident at the Mark, Depp was arrested again for brawling with paparazzi outside a London restaurant. The American Film Awards. In 2014, Depp made headlines again after taking the stage at the Hollywood Film Awards to present an award for the documentary Supermensch, The Legend of Shep Gordon. During the presentation, the winning film didn't get the attention it deserved as Depp appeared on stage looking disheveled, wobbly, and unable to speak clearly. While delivering a mostly incoherent speech, Depp tossed in a few choice curse words that prompted the network broadcasting the event to censor him. After fumbling around awkwardly for several minutes, Depp excused himself and stepped off stage. At that point, all focus was placed firmly on Depp, leaving many to wonder whether he was drunk or under the influence of something else. Others speculated he may have been channeling his Jack Sparrow character, albeit in a very ill-defined manner. Regardless, it's well known Depp has struggled with alcoholism and substance abuse for much of his life. In the past, he stated he began using drugs at age 11 when he started stealing his mother's nerve pills. At 12, he began smoking, and by age 14, he said he had already used, quote, every kind of drugs there were. In a 1997 interview, Depp acknowledged he was drinking heavily during the production of 1993's What's Eating Gilbert Grape. In 2008, he was quoted in an interview saying he had poisoned himself with alcohol for many years. In 2013, Depp announced he had ceased drinking, stating he had gotten pretty much everything he could get out of it. The Amber Heard Saga. Following the end of his tumultuous relationship with Vanessa Paradis in 2012, Depp began dating his Rum Diaries co-star Amber Heard. In February of 2015, the two were married in a civil ceremony. A little over a year later, Heard filed for divorce and obtained a temporary restraining order against Depp, claiming he'd been verbally and physically abusive throughout their marriage. She also alleged he was frequently under the influence of drugs and alcohol during his most abusive episodes. Depp denied these claims and said she had a financial motive for making such shocking allegations. A settlement was reached in August of 2016, and the divorce was made final in January of 2017. In 2018, Depp unsuccessfully sued the British tabloid The Sun for defamation. In that case, a judge ruled that the publication's labeling of him as a wife-beater was substantially true. Depp went on to successfully sue Heard in the U.S. over the aforementioned op-ed she penned for the Washington Post. Heard appealed the verdict, but in December 2022, she settled the case against Depp. After reaching the settlement, she's maintained it wasn't an act of concession. Johnny's contentious relationship with Disney. After Amber Heard made her abuse allegations against Depp, Disney promptly fired him and announced they would no longer be working with Johnny on future projects. In 2018, Depp gave a candid and unfiltered interview with GQ describing his contentious relationship with Disney. According to him, when he first introduced his interpretation of Jack Sparrow on set, Disney had a fair bit of criticism over his delivery. Depp told GQ Disney hated him right out of the gate. He even claims they were actively trying to figure out how to get rid of him. A few of the criticisms Depp recalls include producers complaining they couldn't understand his slurred speech and that they'd have to subtitle him. Depp was apparently also criticized for the way he physically presented himself in character, with Disney execs questioning whether he was drunk, mentally deficient, or even gay. Despite his controversial performance, Depp went on to help make Pirates of the Caribbean one of the most valuable IPs in Disney's repertoire, earning the company an estimated $4.5 billion in global revenue. The future of pirates. The untitled sixth installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean film series has reportedly been in the works since 2017. Originally, the last film in the series, Dead Men Tell No Tales, was supposed to be only the beginning of the final pirate's adventure. In May 2020, producer Jerry Bruckheimer commented that the first draft of the sixth film's screenplay was close to completed. That same year, however, Disney announced they would be cutting ties with Depp, thus calling into question the future of the Pirates franchise. On April 20th, 2022, at his defamation trial against Amber Heard, Depp stated he was not interested in working on another Pirates film, even if Disney wanted him to. To him, there was no going back after the studio removed him from the franchise before a verdict had been reached in his case. By then, the damage had already been done. So as of right now, it's unclear what will become of Pirates 6. We do, however, know that a currently untitled spin-off film starring a female lead has been in the works since June of 2020. In November 2022, Margot Robbie, one of the writers of the screenplay, announced the project was no longer going forward. Jerry Bruckheimer then chimed in to clarify the project wasn't officially dead, but it had been postponed to prioritize Pirates 6. He later reiterated the spin-off was still going to be made, but that its story needed a little work. Only time will tell what the future of Johnny Depp's career will look like, but as of right now, it's not looking good. Depp's most recent films have failed to perform at the box office, and after the whole Amber Heard debacle, it's obvious that the public's perception of him has been permanently tarnished. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Johnny Depp will be able to recover from his recent scandals, or do you think his film career is all but over? Let us know in the comments section below.